Donald Trump seems to have managed to get both sides to play to his ego in the sense that instead of rejecting, for Hamas in particular, instead of rejecting what looked like impossible terms about disarming, Hamas replied with yes, but, and sort of left some of the things unsaid. And that was actually, again, that's quite a skillful reading by both sides of what animates Trump, that he wants to take credit for ending this. So both sides are essentially playing to his desire to have this achievement under his belt. How far Donald Trump will go to compromise on that plan, or to I guess, let either side get away with something that he didn't want it to before. That's really unclear. He obviously wants this to happen quickly, and that's part of the problem. Will he lose patience with it? And indeed, will the Israelis?
It's been 2 years since the terrorist organisation Hamas attacked Israel, killing almost 2,000 people and taking 251 hostages. It was the deadliest attack on Israel in its history. In response, Israel has launched waves of attacks against Hamas in Gaza. Tens of thousands of people there have died. Israel has also attacked enemies in Lebanon, Syria and Iran. Could the conflict, though, be near its end? Peace talks are taking place now in Egypt. Well, Catherine Philp, the Times World Affairs editor, is in the West Bank and joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Kate.
We should start first by talking about, because it is October the 7th, it is the 2-year anniversary of that dreadful attack. What is happening to mark that occasion in Israel today?
Yeah, so there, as last year, there were various memorials taking place, gatherings of the hostage families and the former hostages themselves. There'll be a gathering at the site of the Nova Festival, which was attacked by Hamas on October 7th, and where a lot of young people were killed and hostages taken from that area. And there are memorials in Tel Aviv as well, centered obviously on this hostage square where the families met during the ordeals of their loved ones who were kept there. What's different, I think, about this year as an occasion to mark is it is actually happening against the extraordinary backdrop of these talks that have really been forced by President Trump, making Israel and Hamas come together there. So instead of simply looking back at what was the worst day in Israel's history, there is this tension of the fact that there might be an outcome. There may be the return of the hostages, and there may be some relief for the suffering in Gaza. So it's a very mixed sort of emotional feeling today, I think, for everyone concerned.
And in terms of the future, the picture as we look, towards what happens next, are we any closer to peace than we have been in the past?
I think we are. I think this is actually the closest we've ever been. And the reason for that is that there is something more of a comprehensive plan on the table. Now, obviously, a lot can go wrong at this stage and on a technical level too. But it's the first time there's been a plan on the table that really looks beyond a simple and temporary ceasefire towards a sort of complete settlement of the war in Gaza.
And where is the sort of block at the moment? What is the problem in terms of getting it agreed? What has to happen to make sure that the deal does go ahead?
So there's some very technical issues. One of them is actually whether it's feasible for Hamas to locate all the hostages within Gaza who are not all in their custody in the time frame that Israel is seeking. The plan originally foresaw them all being released within 72 hours of this deal being agreed. Well, I think that's already passed now. What the Israelis and Hamas are doing in these indirect talks that are taking place in Sharm el-Sheikh is they're comparing notes over what exchange will actually happen. So under the terms, the remaining hostages, Israeli hostages in Gaza, both the living and the dead, will be swapped for 250 Palestinian prisoners who are in Israeli jails. And one of the sticking points right now is what the identity of those people will be, including people that Israel doesn't want to see released to become sort of heroes of the Palestinian cause. One of them being Marwan Barghouti, who's who is highly popular. He's the most popular Palestinian leader there is, and he's talked about as a future leader of a Palestinian state. But he's one of the people in jail for a life sentence for murder that Israel doesn't want to be released. Now, there's other issues as well. There's the issue that Hamas has not really responded to within that plan, the call for it to completely disarm. So that's going to be a sticking point too.
And just finally, I mean, I suppose that the influence of Donald Trump has been one of the things that people believe has made the real difference here. What influence does he have over these talks, and how far do you think he is willing to go to get this deal over the line?
Well, he was the one that pressured both sides and said this enough is enough. Now we've seen that fail before, particularly when he put forward his first plan for the end of a war immediately after coming into office, and Israel actually backed out of the second phase of what was supposed to be a phased end to the war, phased withdrawal. Donald Trump seems to have managed to get both sides to play to his ego in the sense that instead of rejecting, for Hamas in particular, instead of rejecting what looked like impossible terms about disarming, Hamas replied with yes, but, and sort of left some of the things unsaid. And that was actually, again, that's quite a skillful reading by both sides of what animates Trump, that he wants to take credit for ending this. So both sides are essentially playing to his desire to have this achievement under his belt. How far Donald Trump will go to compromise on that plan or to I guess, let either side get away with something that he didn't want it to before. That's really unclear. He obviously wants this to happen quickly, and that's part of the problem. Will he lose patience with it? And indeed, will the Israelis? Because as we have that report from Gabriel Weiniger in Tel Aviv today, Israel is already drawing up contingency plans for the failure of the peace process, which isn't possibly the most promising way to go into it.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Catherine Philp, Times World Affairs editor, thank you very much for joining us there from the West Bank.
Inas Abu Mamar and her young nephew Ahmed walk along the rows of tents for displaced Palestinians in Khan Yunis. The pair have endured profound grief and loss over 2 years of Israel's bombardment of Gaza. This photo, taken in the first days of the war by a Reuters photographer, shows Abu Mamar cradling the shrouded body of her 5-year-old niece, Saili, Ahmed's older sister. He lost his mother, both sisters, and maternal grandparents, who were killed 10 days into the conflict. Then, this past June, Abu Mamar says Ahmed lost his father and paternal grandfather as well, when they were killed while fetching something to eat after they had run out of food the previous day.
When my brother Rams was martyred, the first thing he left us was Ahmed. He left us with Ahmed. He left a big void behind. He left sadness behind. Every time Ahmed remembers him, we all become sad and cry over him.
Her family members are among the more than 66,000 Palestinians who local health authorities say have been killed by Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Thousands more are believed to be lying dead under the rubble, but not counted in the official death toll. Israel launched its offensive in retaliation for the October 7th attack in 2023, when Hamas gunmen burst through border defenses from Gaza, killing about 1,200 people and taking another 250 as hostages. The Israeli military says it tries to avoid civilian casualties but strikes at Hamas wherever it sees militants emerge, accusing the group of hiding among the civilian population, which Hamas denies. When Reuters interviewed Abu Mamar a year ago, she said she was, quote, waiting for the cascade of blood to stop. Now, 2 years on, she says she's still waiting and fears the latest moves to end the war will fail unless U.S. President Donald Trump puts more pressure on Israel.
Our hope, our only hope, is that Trump pressures Israel even more. so that it finishes off the war completely and for the war not to return, that it never returns at all. To continue life without war, without death, without killing. That is enough for us. We've seen a lot.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has embraced a plan by Trump to end the war in Gaza. Hamas has partially accepted the plan, but there is no certainty over when or whether it will stop the bloodshed.